Okay everybody, so I'm back again and I've got another image or set of images from France, from the south of France in fact, and this time it's a macro set of images that I was working on my last visit. So let's jump in and have a look. Okay, so this isn't the image, but this is a shot of the leaves that attracted my attention. Now, I was walking along the riverside that we visit on the tour, where there's lots of lovely rocks and long exposure bits that we can do with the water, and it just so happened that these leaves jumped out and appealed to me. Now, I will say I didn't put them there. They were there naturally. I didn't move them. There's nothing wrong with moving things, I will say. However, it's not something I do, and the reason is once I've moved it, I know I've moved it, and the image is forever then compromised in my mind. So that's up to you. It's a thing that you can wrangle with. Occasionally I'll blow a little bit of dust off things, or in this case there was an ant I had to encourage away from the scene, but otherwise I would leave it as I found it, and I think that's part of the appeal to me of the order that you can find that's been naturally created. So anyway, obviously that's the wider scene, and I started going about just trying to make some order of it. This first image is probably the most simplified version, and I just was attracted by the curves here, shall we say, that are also mirrored further down here, a little more sharply perhaps, but sometimes that mirroring of shape can be a nice thing to work with, and you can see some of the texture on the leaf and some of the texture on the rock, but that wasn't totally doing it for me. So often in that case I'll start to move around, I'll change the aspect ratio, and all the time I'm thinking about the weight of the composition. Where is the flow? Where is the eye being taken? And do we need everything in the image? Is it adding something overall? And perhaps here it wasn't. It felt a little lopsided. I focused in then on this curvature from these two, which very much felt like hands embracing. Actually, it sounds a bit of a soft thing to say, but that's kind of how I envisaged it at the time. And my default sometimes is to try and put things in a square. However, you have to be careful not just to put everything in an aspect ratio that you like. Sometimes it needs to be in the correct aspect ratio for the flow rather than what you want to shove it into. So you can see working from that square, I just stepped out a little, both in terms of the aspect ratio and in terms of my physical proximity to the scene, and this is the image that I ended up with. So hopefully you find some pleasure in the image from the point of view of the flow and the composition, and it's really just a neat little example of how, yes, we can travel, and yes, there can be wide views, but sometimes if you can just take 30 minutes or so, literally crouched over your tripod with a macro lens, there's other ways to find balance and order in what's around you as well.